Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. Every single day more and more leaders and presidents all over the world change their opinion regarding the situation in Ukraine. Some of the leaders are not going to change their opinion, and I'm talking about, for example, the President of the United States of America. Biden said that US assistance to Ukraine is aimed at protecting American troops from being drawn into a conflict with the Russian Federation. Of course, you might say that might be some kind of joke or another step of the present campaign in the United States of America, but from my side, I would add that this is the first very warning bell about when the Western countries start talking about sending troopers and soldiers of NATO, United States of America in particular, on the territory of Ukraine. Some of the leaders also stand on their positions, and I'm talking about the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, who told us that Ukraine is located too far from joining the European Union. Some people change, some leaders of European countries are changing their minds, and I'm talking about the Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, for example, plans to talk with Vladimir Putin again, and probably he is planning to normalize some relationships with Russia, because he understands that Germany, of course, for him should be on the first place, but not the interest of other people in other countries. When talking about Ukraine itself, we still haven't received any updates regarding the situation with the Ukrainian pilot who defected to the Russian side. And when talking about Russia, today the Russians celebrating a big holiday, and this is the holiday of missile forces. And this is important thing because, for example, today, due to this missile holiday of missile forces, the Russians are planning to launch Sarmat missile that can bypass 15,000 kilometers. Just imagine yourself 15,000 kilometers, and if we, let's say, calculate the distance from the Russian polygon and in direction of the United States of America, we will try to find these 15,000 kilometers. So the Russian missiles are able to attack for example, even like South America, not just the North America, but South America. So the Russians missile can attack currently every single point in the world with nuclear, let's say, explosions on board. So and they're planning to do this due to this holiday. Furthermore, because of the fact that today is missile holiday of missile forces in the Russian Federation, I expect that on the 19th of November, the Russians will start bombardment and attacking Ukraine with energy facility with missiles, because before today the Russians were using just Iran drones to attack the energy facilities in 2023, but there are very high chances that they will start using the missiles as well. Now let's move to the situation on the ground, and very interesting updates and details we are receiving from Robotyne. During the previous night, the Ukrainians made a very interesting and unexpected offensive operation in direction of Novoprokopovka. We have a video of that attack. On this video we see how the Ukrainians were moving back from Novoprokopovka. On this scene we can see Novoprokopovka on the bottom of this video, and we see a significant number of armored vehicles who were heading from Novoprokopovka to the north in direction of Robotyne. At least on this scene we can find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 armored vehicles who have almost reached the outskirts of the village Novoprokopovka, but for some reason the Ukrainians took a decision to turn back and start withdrawing their positions. And as a result of that process, according to the Russian forces, the Ukrainians lost up to 2 armored vehicles while retreating. And it's very interesting because if we will move back to the map, I will show you the Ukrainian, let's say, movement. So the Ukrainians start movement somewhere here. They reach this line, then they turn to the right, and on this area they start moving back to the north, and somewhere on this interception the Ukrainian armored vehicle was destroyed. So very interesting, and I can't understand what was the purpose. Maybe the Ukrainians trying to make something like reconnaissance in force in combat, trying to discover the Russian Russian fire positions in the northern part of Novoprokopovka. Maybe that was a test attack, trying to understand what the Russians can provide. Obviously, during that attack, during that movement, the Ukrainians managed to discover the Russian fire positions. In the upcoming 24 hours, they will they're going to work out every single target they discovered. Now we are moving further to Donetsk, Avdiivka direction, Marinka direction. We also got a lot of updates during the previous night. The Russian forces continue storming of Marinka using FPV drones. This is the second video with FPV drones for the previous 2 days. So that means that the Russians have certain focus in this area. It's very difficult to understand whether the Russians are planning to take control over this village or this is just a regular military routine. Very difficult, because it's very difficult to understand which buildings and which areas the Russians are planning to capture, because the entire Marinka was reduced to ruins a very long time ago. Also, the Russians continue publishing the videos from the southern part of Krasnogorovka, and this is also the second video in a row. Yesterday, or the previous few days, we got a lot of updates from the residential area on the southeast of the city. Now we receive the videos and geolocated confirmation from the south and western part of this city, which means that the Russians also have some certain focus in this area, trying to either pin down the Ukrainian forces and to prepare the safe roads for further offensive operation of the Russian forces. If we increase the number of days since the beginning of November, we're gonna see just 3 geolocations from the village. The first one was in the central part, where the Russians destroyed the headquarters and concentration of Ukrainian forces. The second was in the residential area of Krasnogorovka, and today we got another one on the southwestern part. Obviously, the Russians have some plans to restart their offensive operation and to begin another new storm to the south of 8 Marta Street. Now we're moving to Avdiivka direction. We also got a lot of geolocations, lots of updates. Let's start from the northern part. Today the Ukrainians published FPV drone videos, which we will not watch because of casualties and violence against the Russian soldiers, but all those geolocations provided by the Ukrainian side confirms the Russian control over the city, over the area along the railways. So all those geolocations that Ukrainians provide confirm the Russian presence in this area along this red line. Furthermore, some Russian sources, either Syriac map confirms about the Russian progress and Russian movements in the residential area on the northeastern part of Avdiivka, and as a result of clashes during the previous days, the Russians managed to establish control over this territory as well. So basically, this update confirms that the Russians managed to enter Avdiivka, enter the residential area of Avdiivka at the second point. This is the second point, and the first point of the Russian entrance is the area on the south in the vicinity of industrial area along Yasinovata line. And we got also another geolocation from this territory. The Russians continue publishing the geolocated videos, footages of FPV drone strikes, bombardments of the Ukrainian forces in industrial area before or during the clearing process of this territory. On this video we can see 5 Ukrainian soldiers who were trying to hide in the building, but they were discovered by the Russian drone and start bombardments with FPV drone. As a result of, as you can see, clashes, the Ukrainians lost a small platoon and a few light vehicles, probably evacuation machines or something like this. The Russians continue advancing on the south of Avdiivka, and today, as I understand, we're going to receive more news, more pieces of news from the Russian side about another progress, about more territories captured on this direction. The Russians also try, and the Ukrainians start publishing the videos from the living road between Gorlovka and Avdiivka. Currently we have something like a flashbacks from the battle of Bakhmut, the same story, one road that Ukrainians used to supply and support, and now every single day we receive more and more videos from this road with more and more destroyed armored vehicles. So currently the situation right now in Avdiivka is the same situation as we used to see in Bakhmut when the Bakhmut got into operational encirclement. Currently it's very difficult to say whether it's already operational encirclement, because as you can see, some cars and vehicles are able to use this road during the daylight, because in Bakhmut at the final stage of operation the Ukrainians didn't have possibilities to use this road using the daylight. The only period of time when they were supporting Bakhmut was night now, but we are very close to this situation. Obviously we haven't received any updates from a southern direction. Now we are moving to the new front line in this area. We're going to talk about Gorlovka. Today the Russian sources, by my bad, published another video how the Ukrainians moved their armored vehicle on the landfill, on the Terikon, and from the hill. The Russians from the personal armored carrier were attacking the Russian positions on the lowland, and of course that's crazy. Of course it's crazy. I don't know what the Ukrainians were thinking about, but the Russians used that opportunity and destroyed the Ukrainian armored vehicle with anti-tank missile. They needed it required 2 missiles to destroy this machine, but anyway, from one side we understand that the Ukrainians are trying to show that they're dominating in this area, and they're trying this attack was something like a joke, something like laughing at Russians, because it's impossible to even realize how the Ukrainians managed to get armored vehicle on the top of landfill. Yes, the Russians managed to destroy this position, but anyway, it doesn't mean that the Russians managed to force the Ukrainians to step back. Obviously, the Ukrainians are planning to continue their digging in the process, and they will try to improve their positions, and maybe they will try to continue their offensive operation further in direction of Gorlovka, which of course is not very good piece of news for the Russians. Furthermore, the Ukrainians published few geolocated videos of FPV drone strikes against the Russian artillery forces, D-20 howitzer, D-30 howitzers in the vicinity of Gorlovka, the artillery positions that the Russians were using to support Russian forces on Avdiivka, Kurdyumovka, and right now on Gorlovka direction. So I'm not saying the situation is critical, but anyway, the situation, let's call it, is unpleasant for the Russians. We haven't received any updates from Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Klishchiivka direction during the previous night. Obviously, the Russians continued developing their positions, and during the previous night we got also very interesting update from Kupyansk direction. The Russian sources are saying that at 7 a.m. We got update at 7 a.m. at the local time that there are very intense battles and very hot hit in Ivanovka. The Russians managed to reduce combat capabilities of 32nd Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces and of 54th Brigade. So the situation is critical, and probably we're gonna receive more updates from the northern direction during the upcoming day as well. So the situation is getting worse and worse, and we'll see what the 19th of November is going to bring us. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds you to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching, subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.